What will happen this weekend when the Georgia Bulldogs host the Kentucky Wildcats? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to break it all down because I think this is a get-right game for the Georgia Bulldogs coming after another tough loss to Alabama. They've got Auburn next week. They've got LSU. They have a really tough schedule, but they have an opportunity to really turn things around against a Kentucky team that is just not very good. They can't throw the ball. They're last in passing in the SEC. The defense isn't great. There's just a lot of bad vibes at Kentucky right now. Last week, they got blown out. Their first road test of the season, they got blown out by a struggling South Carolina team, lost by 21, 22 points. It's not pretty. So Georgia's going to win this game. However, I don't think the scoreboard is necessarily going to indicate how dominant they probably could and should win over Kentucky, if that makes sense. So I'm going to talk about my reasoning and all of that. But I say this is a get-right game because we're 4 games in here, right? And there are some concerns, some problems, some issues, whatever you want to call it, right? They're not getting off to really fast starts offensively and defensively, for that matter. I mean, they were down double digits, 14 points to both Tennessee and Alabama. That's something that I think needs to change, and I would like to see that happen against Kentucky this weekend. This is dating back to last year, too. So this is kind of a theme for this offense, kind of feeling out how the game's going to go. Then they adapt and make the changes offensively and go from there. But the players need to come out and start playing, with fire too. And if you're hosting Alabama at night in Sanford Stadium and you're still getting off to a slow start both offensively and defensively, I'm not sure how you can expect them to do that against Kentucky at noon, right? Georgia fans don't get up for Kentucky. This is a game that they expect to win. They should. They've beaten Kentucky every year since 2009. That was the last time they won against Georgia, and it happened to be in Athens. It was a just terrible game by Joe Cox. Doesn't matter. So I want to see them get off to a fast start. We know that Georgia can stop the run and run the football. We need to see them improve as far as stopping the pass, and there's no better team to do that against Kentucky. So Georgia's secondary is going to look good in this game because Kentucky can't throw the ball. I don't know if they're going to have any passing yards, and that's saying that, as I've covered, a secondary that's really struggled this year. So I think Kentucky is going to have a real hard time not only scoring but moving the football. When they do, it's probably going to be on the ground, but Georgia stopped the run pretty well. So I think Kentucky is going to score maybe 6 points in this game. But offensively, I think Georgia's going to move the football. I think they're going to win comfortably. But if they get up double digits and they're in the fourth quarter, I think they're just going to sit on the football. They're not going to go out and try to score points for no reason. They're not going to try to embarrass Kentucky. Even though it's at home, this is win the game, win it quickly, limit the possible injuries. You don't have to show a lot offensively to win this game. Get out, get a win, play sound defensively, run the football, and then focus on Auburn. That's what I think is going to happen. So I'm thinking like a 24-26 game. Maybe they cover and it's like a 28-27 game. I think that line is about right, 20.5. But the way I see the game going, both teams are going to want to run the football. These quarters could move quickly. And if Georgia does get off to another slow start, which is all we've seen them do basically from an offensive perspective. I know they scored on their first drive against Tennessee on the road. That was really impressive. They still went down 21-7. So that's kind of my general point. If they get down at all early in the game or have another slow start, it could be problematic as far as getting that 20.5 cover. But none of that really matters. Georgia's going to win the game, but it would behoove them to come out and really punch them in the face and win a game where they dominate from the start. I wrote over in Final Feelings over on Dawg Post, make sure you're checking that out, that it feels like we get 2 really strong quarters out of this team and then 2 not so great quarters. Their inconsistency might be the biggest problem because other stuff can be fixed. The secondary, you can work on that. You can get the tight ends more involved. I think that's something that we need to see. But overall, it's hard to improve on consistency when you still need all 11 guys doing their job. You can improve different aspects and different position groups here and there, but improving overall consistency is really tough to do. But that's something that they need to do if they want to be the best team possible. I think if this team plays their best football for 60 minutes, they could beat any team in the country. But we haven't seen it yet, and it's hard to expect to see that out of them, even against a bad team against Kentucky. This is one of the worst teams they play the rest of the season. Ideally, you want to see Georgia come out, start fast, use the tight ends, make plays on defense. They've got I don't know if they've got an elite football player on the roster. They have guys with elite traits. I think Zachariah Branch obviously has elite speed. So does Dwight Phillips Jr. I think Colby Young has elite size. I think they have elite kicking game. So there are parts of the team that's elite. But they haven't been consistent with it. And we haven't seen them play a solid, sound, fundamentally correct 4 quarters of football all year long. The first 2 games don't matter. Now, they won a game playing 2 sound quarters, basically. A little bit more than that against Tennessee. But you can't do that every time. You can't get down double digits in every game and win them all. And we saw that last week. They're going up against good teams. You have to play well for 4 quarters if you want to have a really strong season the rest of the way. Because if they don't bring their A game, they lose to Ole Miss. If they don't bring their A game, they might lose at Auburn. Florida, that Georgia game is the only one they care about the rest of the way. Season's over. Sure, they want to beat Florida State. But the Gators are going to give Georgia everything they have. They have to be ready. At some point, Texas is probably going to look really good. They haven't yet, and maybe I'm completely wrong there, but they've got that Georgia game circled too. They lost to the Dawgs twice last year, once on one of the biggest stages in the game, the SEC Championship, and the other on their home turf. They are going to give Georgia everything that they have. So if Georgia wants to get through the regular season in a position to where they can still be in the playoffs, they've got to be more consistent and not just play bad for a quarter and a half to 2 quarters against those D1 opponents. And I might be a little harsh there. I'd still have to dig through the numbers probably a little bit more, but there's a lot to improve still if they want to become an elite team. I still think they have the ability to do that. They've got a lot of really talented individual players, and sometimes the offense is looking really good, and sometimes the defense is making enough stops and making plays. They've got to do it together, and they've got to do it consistently. But we've seen this team at times look really good. We've seen Gunnar Stockton make some really big plays with his arm. We've seen them run the football effectively. We've seen what those weapons at wideout can do. We've seen them stop the run. What we haven't seen is forced turnovers. They've forced turnovers, but a lot of them were kind of handed to them, right? They've only really forced a couple, really, that I can think of on their own, to where the offense just kind of didn't hand them the football, and they turned it over. Georgia's got to force more, but they also need to get the tight ends more involved. They need to try to get some of their other playmakers the ball more. They need for Gunnar Stockton to continue to make plays with his legs. That's something we haven't really seen as much of, or we didn't against Alabama. He had a couple nice runs, but I want to see more designed runs on those short yardage, situations. I think moving forward, you're 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. It's Josh McCray time, or it's Gunnar Stockton time. And I'm watching Georgia Tech sometimes, and I'm thinking, man, that might be how Georgia needs to use Gunnar Stockton, the way they use Haynes King. Now, you don't run him 20, 30 times a game, which it feels like that's what Georgia Tech's doing, but just the style and the scheme and how they're using him, that guy's getting 5-6 yards a carry, it feels like, and the defense knows it's coming, and I think Georgia could do that with Gunnar Stockton too. So I think they need to use his legs more in short yardage downs, but I want to see more from the tight ends. I want to see fast starts. I want to see plays from guys in the secondary against the pass. I want to see them force more turnovers. I want to see them take the points instead of being aggressive when you don't need to. So that's on the staff, but this is a game where Georgia should come out fighting. They should come out and look strong. This should be some of the best football they play all year, because they're not playing against a great opponent. So they need to look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, this is a team where if we play our best and we play to our standard, this shouldn't be close. This should be an easy cover if Georgia plays to their standard. But we haven't seen them play to their standard in quite some time. Maybe we'll see it against Kentucky, but you can't expect them to play to their standard when they haven't, right? in a while, dating back to, I guess, the Tennessee game last year. That might be the best they've played over the last 7, 8 games, it feels like now. So they've got a lot to work on. They are a really good team. Their best football is still way ahead of them. If they can be more consistent, start making plays defensively, include the tight ends, and play better from the start, this team can still be really tough to beat moving forward. They just didn't earn that Alabama win. Alabama earned it. Georgia's got to earn it every single week. It starts with Kentucky. So it's just me rambling for 10 minutes. Let me know what you think. Big game tomorrow. Georgia needs to make a statement win and show the rest of college football, hey, we're back, we can dominate, and we're going to play our best football moving forward. Thanks a lot. Hope you learned something. Hope to see you over on the website as well. Thanks.